I think I have like a cold or something, so I'm gonna be doing the a lot. Let's hope that we get some debates going. And I know that YouTube right now is kind of screwing up, so there we go. Okay. Hurry up and join the military. Why? I think I've seen you in my comments before. I never understand why you tell me that. Everything is a lie? I don't... Not quite everything. But yeah, I know what you mean. His resurrection is historical and documented outside the Bible. Even if it was, it wouldn't show that Christianity is true. First.
Hello.
Hey, what's up? Let me plug in. I just realized my microphone is not plugged in, but I can hear you. Or just hear you're different. All right. I just preferred microphone. What's up?
Can you hear me? I just want to show you that I'm a real person.
Oh, goodness. You can't hear me? One second, guys. Oh, it was unplugged. Okay, so now I should be able to hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I could hear you the whole time.
Good. Oh, okay, but I couldn't hear you. I meant to say, so I can hear
Oh,
you now.
okay.
We're good. What do you want to? What do we disagree about?
So I agree with that Islam is false, but Christianity is not false.
Okay, you're a Christian.
Yes, I'm Orthodox Christian.
Oh, okay. Why do you believe that there's a God in the first place?
So it's not just believing, it's not following something that doesn't have a path, So it's laid out in front of us. Everything is laid out in front of us, and um just my faith keeps me believing because there are many, examples like that you can't explain with science.
Well,
You
I'm not
know,
one of those people that you can explain that would think that you can explain everything via science. I mean, science presupposes math. I don't think science explains mathematical truths.
yeah,
So
I don't believe in science actually. I don't believe
you don't accept any scientific truths?
no, I don't believe in vaccines. I don't believe in um medication. I believe in I am doctors like natural doctors, but I don't like I guess
Well, that's a different topic. Why do you believe in God? And why is there a reason for me to believe in God?
yes,
Frame it what? What is that reason?
because so Jesus died for our sins, and everyone was damned to hell before he, you
But I
know.
don't accept that. So
No, it
what's
doesn't.
some
It doesn't matter if you don't accept it or not. It's the truth, and it is what it is.
Yeah, but you're here to tell me why I should accept it,
You know,
right?
I'm telling you what he did, what
Yeah,
Jesus
but why
did.
should I accept what you're saying about what Jesus did as being divine? Why should I
Do you?
accept
I
that?
mean, if you want to go to heaven,
Look, here, how about this? God exists because, and then fill in the blank. God exists because
because it's written in the Bible. I
the
mean,
Bible says it. The Bible says it, therefore it's true.
so do you believe in a dictionary?
Do I believe there are dictionaries? Yeah.
There you go. That that is enough. So if you believe in the dictionary, you should believe in the Bible.
I don't understand that reasoning at all.
So the Bible, no, I know the Bible wasn't written by God. The original Bible was written in Aramaic, and I speak Aramaic. The
Wait, I have
original,
a question. I have a question. Do you think that just because the Bible says true,
you're you froze. I have no idea what you said.
do you believe that if the Bible says it, therefore it's true?
Yeah, Aramaic is Hebrew. Aramaic. So that's what the comments are saying.
Do you understand my question? Yeah, but
Um,
listen to my question. Do you believe that if the Bible says it, then it's true?
yes, I do.
Okay, if someone said, um, if the Quran says it, then it's true, would you accept the same reasoning?
No. The Quran, the
Okay,
Torah,
why does the logic break down
because
there?
they're
Why does the
all
logic break
phony.
down there?
They Jesus is who we are meant to follow, who we are meant to accept as our Lord and
Well,
Savior.
yeah, why should anyone accept that? But why should anyone accept that? And you can't
Because
appeal to the Bible because then there would
it,
just be circuit it'd be arguing in a circle, right?
so there's no physical evidence besides, I mean, the Bible and besides unexplainable things in life. But my my faith, I can feel him. I feel him. I know him.
How do you know
It's
it's God?
I know it's God. I mean,
That feeling, how do you know it comes from God?
so God loves all no matter what, right? So
But
even
let's
if
just stick with one thing. You said you feel God. How do you know that what you're feeling it comes from God?
because I know I can feel I see
Y-
there isn't any physical evidence. It's just it is what it is. Basically, it's like, why is the sky blue? Because it's blue, and because that's exactly what
Well, no
Christianity
one's gonna
is.
say if you ask somebody why is the sky blue and they say it's blue, that's not a good answer.
No, no, you don't. You don't understand what I'm saying. So some things are what they are. It is
I'm
what
not
it is.
disputing that. I'm asking if there's something. look, again, if you ask why XYZ and then you say because XYZ, that's not an explanation.
So me believing and me experiencing it is, so I'm spreading the word of God. And that's all I can do to help you. Nothing I say will give you physical evidence, but what I say can um, make you think about it. And who knows, maybe you'll think about it and you'll start praying and you'll accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and you'll notice changes in your life. You'll
All right.
notice.
Thanks for your request. Yeah, I'm not interested in preaching, but thanks for coming on. Thanks for your perspective. You have a great one.
Hello?
Hey, Colin, what do we disagree about?
Hey, that Christianity is false.
Why do you think it's true?
Well, because I believe there's objective evidence that Jesus rose from the dead, and I'm gonna
Let's
explain.
say, okay,
So, real quick.
okay, no, I'll grant it. I'll grant it, right? Let's just say Jesus rose from the dead. Why does that show that God exists?
Because Jesus is God in the flesh. So if he rose from the dead, it would be confirming who he says he is, which is God. So
I don't see how that follows.
Well, let me get into the evidence real quick. The actual argument.
No, I'm already granted.
Look,
you don't need. I'm saying sure. I'm going. Do you understand what it means to? Right. I'm granting you that Jesus.
Okay, well, yeah, that's fine. Jesus is God, is what I'm saying. That's the whole doctrine of Christianity. Jesus
I'm
is
granting
God in
you
the
that.
flesh.
Doesn't show that therefore God exists. Okay. Well, okay. First of all, why do you think there's a God in the first place?
Well,
Let
because
alone why do you think Jesus is God? That's a different.
Well, because Jesus claims to be God, and if he claims to be God and he rose from the dead, that would confirm that God exists. And there's other reasonings too, but I think
Why? I already
evidence
asked
that
why.
Jesus-
I already asked why. It doesn't. It
but you're
doesn't
not letting-
follow. It doesn't
You're
follow
creating
that if
this is a straw man. You're creating a different argument to refute instead of refuting my actual point. Let me get to my actual point and refute that, and then we'll get into the other stuff. Okay. So I believe there's evidence that Jesus rose from the dead. The first one being is that there's historical records that confirm non-believers, people who weren't believers in.
Why are you saying this? I already granted this. Why are you? Why are you repeating things that I've already said? Sure.
All right, I'm leaving. You're not listening to my arguments.
Bye, Colin. Bye, Colin. Look, when I grant something to someone, that means sure, we can say that it's true. You don't have to review what I've granted. The point is that you said that because some dude claims he's God and rises from the dead, that therefore God exists. I'm challenging that inference, and you did not support it.
Hello, brother.
Hey, what's up? What do we disagree about?
So are you disagreeing on like a religion, or are you disagreeing of there being a creator?
A creator, of God. I mean, I dispute that there's a God.
So you disagree on the fact that there is God, right?
Yeah, I'm an atheist.
All right. So I will ask you one thing. So you believe in science. You base everything on science, right?
No, I don't. I don't base everything on science. Math, for example, is not based on science. Science, in fact, presupposes mathematical truths. So no.
So you base everything on mathematical truths, right?
No, I don't. Look, I don't think there's a theory of everything. Some things are based on XYZ. Some other things are based on ABC. It doesn't really. They're categories of thought, right? I don't think it all boils down to one truth or one category.
So, all right. So how do you think how do you think we were brought into existence? That's my question.
Let's say I don't know. How does that help your case?
I'm just asking. I just wanted to hear your opinion, okay? So we can start off something, all right? So if I told
I'm ready for an argument, though, that you want to say that God exists. I want to know why you think that.
All right. So I first need to make you believe that there is a creator, right? For us to even start somewhere. So do you know what the chances of human life existing on planet Earth are? What mathematical chances?
Let's just say extremely improbable. A number I can't fathom. Let's just say
a number that even if you were a supercomputer, it would take you millions of years to understand. So we cannot fathom atoms. Atoms are 10 on, how do you say it in English when the number is 10 on something? 10 on 80, for example, right?
10 times 10 to the power of, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know
10 to
what?
the power
10
of
to the power of 2,600,000 is the probability of us being created as we are.
10 or
That
10 to
number
the
is so high, it's beyond understanding, right?
highest numbers are doubtful, but let's grant it. Let's say it's true.
You can search it up, brother. We can search it together if you want. You can.
Well,
What
I'm
are
fine with granting it. Let's say it's a very improbable. Let's say it's very improbable. Sure.
the most improbable thing? So if we take those chances, that is literally as ludicrous as saying a fighter jet, is gonna make itself on a yard of scrap metal by itself. Those are the chances. So it's ludicrous. So
Okay,
we
let's
can
say it's
agree.
extremely improbable. Fine, fine. I'm
Extremely
granting.
improbable.
Look, I'm granting that it's I'm granting that it's extremely improbable that life arose on planet Earth. I'm granting that. And
All right. And the next thing, if we look at the chemistry, but the chemistry build of humans, the biology, we cannot reproduce our form of life throughout anything else. Life through, right?
okay, sure, it's very improbable that we hear. And
So that improbability, like, how can you? There has to be a creator, because in order for contiguous things to exist.
Why? Look. I never get this argument because look, let's say there's some phenomena that we want to explain, something that we want to explain in the world. All right.
Right.
And I'm going to give you two different explanations, explanation A and explanation B. All right. Explanation B has a probability of, let's just say, I don't know, 8 times 10 to the x, right? Or 8 times 10 to the 10th, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Okay. What's the better explanation?
But as you said, if you can't confirm it through your ways and beliefs.
Did you hear my question? Which is the better explanation? Explanation A, where it's like, let's say 1 times 10 to the 10th or something. I don't know.
All right.
Negative 10. Or explanation B.
And what is explanation B? Can you repeat?
Exactly. Right. Because I didn't give you the probability of explanation B, so you can't know. So fine, let's just say you know the probability of life emerging naturalistically on planet Earth, but you do not know the probability of God deciding kind of arbitrarily to choose to create, especially this type of world that we're in, rather than a different other world. Right? So you can't say that therefore then God is the better explanation because you don't have a probability value of God creating this type of world rather than another world or no world at all.
But okay, even if we take into account that my idea here behind this is that if you've read a holy book, let's say, because I'm mostly going to lean towards Christianity because I read the Holy Bible and I'm trying to understand Quran better, so I'm trying to read the Quran as well. There is some miracles that humans can't explain, and it's throughout the way of God. And you have
Are we changing subjects? We're changing.
We're not.
Subjects
We're
now.
actually
Look,
not. If you
look,
can't
you
explain
just
this number to me,
you excuse me. You gave me a probability or some ridiculous number of a naturalistic explanation as to why we're here. You did not give me a probability of divine explanation. And so, given what you gave me, you're not in a position to say that the divine explanation is better than the naturalistic explanation because you don't have a probability value of the divine explanation.
but the holy book has a better explanation than anything you ever
Excuse
come
me,
up with.
sir. What is the probability of a divine explanation of creating this type of world rather than no world or a different world?
I just gave
What's
you
that
one.
probability? What's the probability? 1 times 10 times 1 times 10 to the what? What is it?
2,685,000.
No. That was the probability of a naturalistic explanation. What's the probability of divine explanation?
Can you explain to me what a divine explanation is? Elaborate.
Divine. You know what divine means, of God or of heaven, something like that. The point is that, look, you're saying that there are two hypotheses here. We have the God explanation and we have the naturalistic explanation. The naturalistic explanation is this extremely small number, very improbable that there's a naturalistic explanation for our existence here on Earth. Fine, I'll grant it. But then that means you're comparing it to a probability value of a divine explanation, one that God, there's a creator of supernatural creator, whatever you want to say, it doesn't really matter. You don't have a probability value for that. So you can't say that therefore God is the best explanation or there is a divine explanation is the better explanation. You're not going to be able to say that.
But the holy book That is my divine explanation for that. If you ever read,
Okay, can you give me the probability value of a divine explanation?
how can I give something? How can
Do you have
I
one?
assign value to something that, like, you need to read it in order to understand it? How can we debate something
No,
if you don't even
Do
accept
you
it?
have a probability value for a divine explanation? Yes or no? Do you have a number for me? Just like you gave a
Oh
number
no!
for the
Oh, I don't
naturalistic
have a
explanation.
number. I don't have a number
Okay,
for
so then you
that.
can't compare the two hypotheses.
I can't compare them in numbers, but I can compare them in something else, right? And everything is not
Well,
based on numbers.
Are you not trying to argue that one's more probable than the other?
I'm saying that the theory of numbers is not probable. So the theory I just
Are
gave you, the
you
first
okay?
one.
Yeah. So you're trying to argue that one is more probable than the other. That means you have to have both values.
No, not everything is based on values. I'm sorry, but it's not like that.
Then how else do you calculate probability?
You can prove that throughout miracles, and you can see them, and you have
I'm sorry,
historical evidence.
sir. Is probability based on values?
Wait,
Yes
hold
or
up,
no?
hold up. I need to ask you something. If you see a video of something being made,
No. Answer
and
my
a number
question.
right next to it, what do you believe?
Answer my question. Is probability based on values? Yes or no? Values, I mean numerical values.
Is probability based on
Numerical
values?
values.
It depends. It really depends.
Okay, so then there's probabilities that you know of that don't account or don't reduce to numerical values.
Why are we changing the subject? You're just pointing some numerical values.
Now you're just changing ironically, you're changing the narrative. The narrative is you came on here telling me that it was extremely improbable that there's a naturalistic explanation for life and our existence. Isn't that what you came on here to tell me?
All right. Let's
Okay.
assume I don't
So
know
don't say,
Let's...
no, wait. Don't say that I'm changing the subject. I'm sticking to the subject. You gave a probability value for a naturalistic explanation. You did not give a probability value for a divine explanation. And then yet you're still saying that one is more probable than the other. And that doesn't make any sense to me. And we're not moving on from that point until you concede that point.
Can I make a question? Then you can kick me from the live, all right?
Okay, well, if you want to change the subject, I'm fine with changing the subject as long as you're willing.
I want to change the subject because my English is not as good and my vocabulary is not
fine.
as huge.
We can change the subject.
So I don't really understand the question to be exact, but let's just agree on disagreeing, all right? On the previous statement.
Okay, fine. Let's go to a different. I'm fine with moving.
Because I want to have a constructive conversation with you because I'm seeking the truth as well as like you, because there needs to be an explanation for everything.
I'm just a hero for fun, man. I'm not here.
So my question, my biggest question is, if we assume that we all read the holy book and we know how life is created throughout the holy book, and we have these ludicrous numbers, as I mentioned previously, right? If we take into account that this one has a perfect explanation for it, in nature itself, it doesn't have a perfect explanation for it. Let's just say that. How are you going to still not believe one and still gonna ask for numerical evidence?
Sorry, I don't understand your question.
Okay, so we don't have a perfect explanation of life on Earth, right? We don't have it. We don't have a theoretical explanation.
Yeah, we can't explain everything about
we can't
life
we can't. We just have these ludicrous numbers, right?
We have a lot left to discover. Let's just put it that way.
So we just have these ludicrous numbers. Let's just leave it at that. Okay. And my question to you is, you have this only one thing that explains life, and it literally prophesized half of the future you live in right now.
One thing. What are you talking about? That thing, like the Quran?
I'm just gonna refer to holy book because other people have certain beliefs. Okay. Because like I would be like a hater or something if I called the Bible the only holy book, because obviously we have our Muslim brothers, right? And I will say Bible because I'm led by the Bible. But if we take the Bible's explanation for everything and see that it is like it's written in the book, how can you question that but righteous the ludicrous numbers that you see on your screen? That is my question.
Are you asking me why I reject the Bible as like an account of everything in terms of our existence? And
yeah, how do you debate on Bible if you've never read it? That's my question.
I mean, well, I have read the Bible. Well, I haven't read about 10% of it. I haven't read Psalms and Isaiah. Probably haven't read Lamentations. But you know, around those major minor prophets is kind of shaky on my on what I've read. But Yeah, why don't well, I think there are a lot of reasons to reject the Bible. Number one, it gets less historically accurate the farther back you go. Okay. So like the
All right.
Exodus, right? The Exodus, a lot of scholars don't think that doesn't really track with what actually happened. And going back, it tracks even less. I think that this New Testament, the theology is all screwed up, right? You have Trinitarian doctrines, you have incarnation doctrines. None of them make sense. Christians can't agree on them, right? It seems like a God that really wanted to communicate his divine nature wasn't able to, or at least made it such that people are really confused. It seems improbable that that this was orchestrated by a smart, all-powerful, all-knowing being.
Okay, I see where you're going here, but in order to fully understand something, we would need to see the whole how do you say it in English? The whole thing it holds in itself. So if you cherry pick some verses from the Bible, you could assume, well, this is completely off track, right? But if you've read everything before it without cherry picking and picking it out of the context, you would everything would make perfect sense to you, because if you said you read the only 10% of the Bible, right?
No, 90%. I haven't read some. I think like in the around Isaiah and like the major minor prophets area, I might have missed a few books.
All right. So the biggest confusion there for me, like what I'm picking up right here, is that the Bible has been translated from Hebrew to English, right? And
Okay.
I thoroughly believe that we lost a lot if we translated it from the original language, because, as I said, those languages hold over 10 million words, while English doesn't even have 500,000. So we can't really explain some things on occasions, because if the vocabulary of English is so much smaller, right? It's
So
20 times
God,
smaller.
are you saying there was a better way of God doing it, communicating his
No, I'm
message?
just saying that we as humans are not perfect in translating it. That is my statement.
Yeah, I'm just saying that God set it up. I'm just saying God set it up that way, right?
It is, yeah, the original is written in Hebrew. So for you to fully understand
Yeah,
something,
God
you would
set
need
it
to know.
set up. God set it up. God set up his message to be confusing and not only confusing, but you just gave a point. Like translating from one language to another, you might lose a lot of meaning, right? I mean, God set it up that way, and it doesn't seem rational to me.
But how did he set it up? If he sent a message in Hebrew, you learning it in some other language is not, doesn't have anything to do with God, right?
Does God have anything to do as to why they're different languages?
No, he doesn't have to do anything with languages of human. I can
So you
make up
don't
a language
accept
right now.
you don't accept the Tower of Babel account or narrative?
The Tower of what?
Babel. Have you read the Bible?
Yes, you can pull up the verse. We can discuss it.
Are you familiar with the story of the Tower of Babel?
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
think because it's in English, and I as I said, in my language we don't, we
okay,
say Johann.
if you remember the story, go ahead and tell me the story.
Pull up the verse, bro.
Do you know the story? It's multiple verses.
I don't know the Bible. Like I can't
Oh, this
pull
is
every single verse
embarrassing, man.
from.
I'll tell you the story,
It's
right?
not.
I'll tell
All
you the
right.
story. I'll let an atheist kind of, do the Bible study here. The point is that there was back in the where there was ancient peoples, they tried to build a tower to the heavens to reach God, right? And God didn't like that. Thought it was too proud and arrogant, whatever. And so what he did is he confused everyone by changing all. They had a unified language. He had different sects of the people, just change their language to where they couldn't communicate.
All right. And what do you don't understand there?
Oh no, that shows that God is an author of confusion, right? And that act led up to the problems of translating the Bible, because if it weren't for that, maybe there would still be a unified language. In other words, if you accept the Bible, you're accepting that the diversity of languages and the confusion among translations is actually ultimately God's causing it.
I see where you're coming from, but let me form a sentence in English for you to better understand, maybe, because I need you to pull the verse in the Bible in order for me to study it, because I don't know the Bible. It has
How about this? How about you
it
go
has
read?
more over 400 pages, and I don't know them all in my head. Like, you need to pull the verse.
Well, it's
so
a
we
very
can
famous
discuss
story.
it.
It's like right up there with the story of King David and how he murdered a husband to get to his wife. It's about that level of popular story, right? So
All right.
maybe even more. But why don't you go read about it, come back, and we can talk about it, all right? Because I'm not going to, it's a whole chapter, I think.
It's a whole chapter?
Yeah, it's like a whole story. Go read up on it. I'm going to let the next person on, all right?
All right, bro. Okay.
Okay, see ya. Tower Babel. All right. Guys, I cannot see chat. How do you refresh the chat? Okay, let me try to fix this. Yeah, I cannot see chat. Oh well. I know y'all are saying very nice things. Can y'all see chat? I can't see chat. What's up? What do we disagree about?
I'm wondering where you get most of your fact from to where God doesn't exist.
Oh, I don't believe in God for multiple reasons. One of the most famous reasons is I don't think evil and God mix. If you consider God to be all powerful, all knowing, and all good, I think that I think that contradicts the existence of evil, or at least the belief that there's evil. I don't think that God is a good explanation for anything. It's just like a just so story. We just God of gaps kind of thing. And then also, for every mind that I come across, it has a body, and God is considered a mind without a body. Seems improbable.
What if everybody's body is God's mind? What if you are a part of God's consciousness, and the only reason that you do exist
Then you're just
is to? I can hear you.
No,
You said what? Now, what I'm saying is, what if you are God's consciousness? What if the things that you conspire are because God wants to know? He wants to know why he did certain things. What if
yeah,
you
then
are
you're just redefining God. You're just redefining.
So I'm saying,
God,
but that's what you're doing when you're trying to tell people that he doesn't exist. You're redefining the existence that you can't.
I'm redefining God.
You're redefining an existence. Existence is one thing, but a creator is another.
No, I'm just defining God as a mind without a body.
Why don't anybody ever ask the question of where did existence come in existence at? Because you know it's a void question.
A lot of people ask that question.
How can you ask the question of where did existence come into existence? Not where the creator
I think at some point yeah,
not where God came into existence. Well, anyway, where people go ahead. People talking about what people know and what don't know. I have a book. I'm showing you. If you can look at my tab right now, and there's a book there. It's called the Lost Books of the Bible. If you're looking at my page right now, if you look into the book that I'm showing you on top right now, if you can see that book and you can see the Bible and you put those two things together, it'll debunk.
Okay, guys, my live is screwing up. I could not kick him out. I wanted to kick him out. So I'm going to restart the live. So follow me really fast. I can't see chat. It's going to restart the live. Okay. So follow me right now. I'll give you like 5 seconds. I couldn't kick him out. I can't see chat. So we're just going to restart. Okay. All right, we're back. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I wanted to see y'all's comments too. All right, coach.
Hey Danny, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. What's up?
So your question is you're questioning Christianity and Islam specifically, or just overall God?
God overall, but those are two most common. So,
but those are not the oldest religions. Those are new baby religions in comparison to many beliefs. I'm not even going to call all of them religions. A lot of them are ancient beliefs that have been here from the beginning of time. You don't hear about them because they're not mainstream. And
yeah,
if
I
you
agree.
study,
I agree. I agree. Totally agree.
okay. And another thing, if you go study a lot of different religions, I mean, all of them, one day, really take the time. It can't be in one day, actually. That's BS. Take the time to study a little bit of all the religions from ancient to current, and you will see that there is a belief hierarchy. Some of them have a god, a lot of them do. And then some of them have demigods, mini gods. But there's usually always an overall God, creator of all. Some of them call him Source. He has a whole bunch of different names.
Yeah, I mean, it might be something I'm interested in later. I'm probably, if I'm going to move on to a religion and studying, I'll probably study Buddhism, some Shinto and Taoism. But yeah,
I think it's important, like, if you're going to be an atheist and make that decision, do a thorough study of all religions.
I don't need to do that though, because I can just show that there's a problem with the concept of God, and then I rule them all out.
The concept, but God's not a concept.
There is you have a concept.
You want to know,
right?
the evidence of God? Go look in the mirror, Danny. You are the evidence.
Well, I don't know why that would be true, but
yes, every cell in your body, all your organisms, the blood flowing through your veins, and I'm sure when you look in your eyes, you can say that you don't have a soul. But saying there's no God is like saying you don't have a soul.
I don't know what souls are. What are souls?
That's what's in you right now.
I have like mind. I have a mind, and I have like blood and guts, right? I don't know what a soul is.
The soul is what makes you who you are. That's why you're different
not
from
my mind.
Everybody else. Not just your mind. Your mind thinks logically, right and wrong.
Yeah, but my mind is about my memories, my beliefs, my
but it's
commitments,
not about
my goals.
Your mind is not your character.
Well, think about it this way, right? Think about it this way. If I erased all your memories and I changed all of your preferences, I inverted them. I just gave you my preferences and changed all your goals. And would you still be you?
Well, you can't just change my goals.
Well, let's say I did. It's a thought experiment. Let's say I changed all of that. Would you still be you if I changed all your hopes, dreams, desires, goals in life, whack, let's replace it with my preferences? Are you still you?
I don't know. That's more of a computer concept. That's not like human concept. Character is based on your soul.
Well, the point is that if I change all of that, you're not you anymore. Like don't you have like very closely held beliefs, like who your mother is, if you have a spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend, like who you love. If I erased all of that, I've taken part of you, right? And if I take the memories of your friends,
only the outside,
right?
Those are taking the outside parts of me. They're not taking the character of me. The character of you comes from your soul. And the soul
we'll leave it at that.
It could only be explained by straight up looking in the mirror and looking into your own eyes and connecting with that deep part of yourself that science cannot explain. And every single person. Okay, I know you want to end it there.
No, it's okay. No, I appreciate your perspective. I think we're right about something. I'm interested in world religions. I think there is a lot for me to explore there. And so thanks for the encouragement. All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. All right. Everything seems to be working now, guys. So that's good. I can see chat. Sorry, I have like AIDS or something, or like a cough or whatever. TikTok, don't ban me. Just let the next person in. They didn't accept.
Yo.
Hey, Dinah. Hey, what's going on, Gotham? What do we disagree about?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I disagree about Islam being false, but obviously I'll be sufficing the position that God exists. So my question is, if we were to grant atheism to be true, just like a slipping question, how do you know existence and where does it derive from?
I don't even know if that is an intelligible question.
Oh, my bad. I meant, where do you think, existence came to be?
Well, I think there's going to be a point where there's not going to be an answer to that, right?
Okay, so you don't have an answer prior to
I don't think anyone could have an answer, right? Because you can't keep on asking the question. There's going to be a point where there's no further explanation.
Well, would you agree? Would you grant the fact that we can be a product of random chance? It's either we are created or we are a product of random chance.
No. Even if God existed, would be here by random chance, because there's not going to be an explanation for why God chose to create rather than not create.
If God existed based off the general description, we are deliberately designed through Him. That's literally what.
Yeah, but there's not going to be an explanation for how God's nature is, or why He made one decision over another.
So sure, there is, but that's not the point right now.
Then if there is, then there's something called modal collapse. There's no such thing as possibility at all, and that's even a crazier position.
No, that's not the. Whoa.
Look here. Think of it this way: do you think God has free will?
Do I think God has free will? If you interpret that God can do whatever He wants and wishes as free will, then I guess He's not governed by anything.
Okay, so when God chose to create, He could have not created, right?
When God chose to create, He could have not.
God chose to create, He could have chosen not to create, right?
Of course, but He did create us.
All right, so the point is that if there's an explanation entailing Him creating us, then it's not possible for Him to do differently than what He did. Which means there can't be an explanation for why He chose to create rather than not create. Otherwise,
there is an explanation. I'm about to get into that, but before, you are an atheist, correct?
No, did you understand my argument?
It's not really an argument. It's just baseless claims. You going off the presupposition that God doesn't have an explanation.
You couldn't regurgitate my argument if I asked you to, right? You couldn't tell me what I said.
Yeah, not exactly like point to point because I didn't listen.
Yeah,
you kind of repeated yourself. So,
okay, if I repeated myself, then you have less of an excuse than to not know my argument or the baseless claims.
If you repeated yourself the first time, I didn't find it a sound, a well-rounded argument.
Well, how would you know, right? It was the last 2 minutes. So tell me
because it wasn't an argument. It was just a claim of you presupposing that God has no.
How would you know? How would you know that it's not an argument if you don't even recall it?
Oh my God, you just didn't understand what I said. I know what an argument is, and I didn't identify an argument, and you repeated the same thing. Okay, I know what an argument it is. An argument is a set of premises combined, or what's it called? A set of premises portrayed to get at a certain point, right? So
conclusion, yeah. Okay, but then so here's what I said. I'll repeat it because you weren't listening. Okay, the point is that if you believe that God didn't have to create, right? That's to say that when He chose to create, He could have not created. Then to say that there's an explanation for why God did create is to entail His creation, because what an explanation does is ground an outcome. It makes an outcome happen rather than not. But if you think that God can create rather than not, then that means, or God rather, I should say, if you think it's possible that God chose not to create, that He just kind of is left with His solitude, if that's possible, then there can't be anything entailing one outcome over another. So there can't be an explanation for our existence.
Yeah, this is where you're having a misunderstanding. That's not an argument. So I'll just educate you quickly on what an argument is. And an argument is set of premises to reach a conclusion, right? That was just you creating a false dichotomy between it's either if God doesn't choose to create us, then if that's rationally possible, then on the other hand, there would be no evidence sufficing the position that He would be the creator, because simply
Wait, that's not my argument. That's not what I said.
Okay.
That's not what I said.
I
try again. Let's try again. Let's try again, right? If you believe that God didn't have to create, that's to say when God created, He could have chosen not to create, then there can't be an explanation for why He chose to create, because if there is, that rules out the possibility of Him not creating, because what an explanation does is ground an outcome and rule out all other outcomes.
Okay, this is what I am saying, right? Just because something is possible doesn't mean it corresponds with reality. We go off of the sense.
What does that have to do with what I've said?
Because you are saying that just because there's a possibility simply that God could have chose not to create us, right? That there is no evidence to even suffice that he did.
That's
create
not
us.
what I'm saying at all.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
How are you denying what? Oh my God. Like, if you repeat yourself again and then repeat what I say in like a different word, like, you know.
Yeah, look, I'm telling you what it means to say that if God created, and yet it's also true for him to have the free will or the option to not create, then there can't be an explanation for why there's one outcome over another. Because what an explanation does is ground one outcome and rule out, makes it impossible for there to be other outcomes.
Okay, so you basically repeated what I said, but added on the last point, which is like this is not progressing the dialect, though, right? And again, I'm gonna debunk this horrible point, right? You know, things can exist with truth value, but also have possibilities conflicting them. There's nothing in this world that can exist.
What does that have to do with what I said?
Listen, just let me finish. Why do you keep cutting me off? I'm saying there's
because
nothing.
You already said enough to demonstrate that you don't understand.
Hold on. No. Oh my God, I've repeated your argument 3 times. I could do it again.
No, you didn't. You haven't characterized me well at all.
Okay, I am going to do this for the last time. You are saying that because it is possible God could have chose not to create us, right? That there is no evidence on the contrary that
no, I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying.
Hold on. That you cannot pick and choose one side over the other, right? You cannot choose and evidence one side over the other.
No. Do you notice that when you're characterizing me, you're not invoking explanation. The key part is understand what an explanation does. If X is explained, if, for instance, you have 2 outcomes, X and Y, and there's some explanation for why there's X rather than Y, then given that explanation, Y is not possible. That's how explanation works, right? So if there's an explanation for why God chooses to create rather than choosing not to create, then it makes that, given that explanation, it's not possible for God to choose not to create, right? That's what I'm trying to say. So there can't be an explanation on a theistic model for those that think that God has a type of libertarian freedom, which AKA there's randomness.
It's not a libertarian freedom, right? He just does as he wills and wishes.
Oh, so is God's will compatible with determinism?
That's a separate conversation.
It is the. Do you know what libertarian free will? Do you know? No. I'm not going to hold on. I'm not going to hold on. Right?
Yeah. No. Because you're not even letting me.
I'm going to have to mute you. I'm going to have to mute you because libertarian free will is what's at stake here. Because if God is not libertarianly free, then there's randomness, right? So when you say he doesn't have libertarian free will, then either he doesn't have free will or he has deterministic freedom. And neither of those are usually something that theists want to accept. Okay, you can unmute you can talk now.
Okay. So if what you mean by libertarian freedom is, even though I only deny because that's not the proper term we actually use, we just more so apply a general description that he could do anything he wishes. I don't like to add on these, social terms onto God. Right?
They're not social. It's a philosophical. You're thinking of political libertarianism? Is that what you're thinking of?
I had that thought for like a second, but
no, that's not what it is. I'm talking about metaphysical libertarianism. Do you know what that is?
No.
It just means that well, it can mean a lot of things, but usually it means that when you're only free, a free choice, a genuine free choice is one in which you're not determined by antecedent conditions to perform one choice over another.
Okay.
That's all that means.
Okay, that's fine. So my point is, if we are, my entire point of coming on here was to say that if we are a product of mere chance and aren't influenced.
But I think we're a product of mere chance on theism too. That's my argument.
Okay. Can you reestablish that with a different words? I don't think your previous explanation made any coherence.
Okay, fine. I'm going to try to explain it differently. The thing is that if God has libertarian freedom, okay, then that means that there are brute contingent facts about what he wills. Brute contingent facts are facts that could have been different, right? Could have been false, and yet there's no explanation for them. And if there's no explanation for them, then that means there's randomness, right?
But so isn't that? But you're presupposing right there because you're saying there's no explanation. What's your basis for that? That's why you're not. That's why
the basis on that it depends on whether you think God has libertarian freedom. If he doesn't have libertarian freedom, then he's not. Then he's determined. And
What God isn't determined, so get that.
Okay, so then, okay, so if God's not determined, then he has libertarian freedom, or he has no free will at all.
God does as he wishes. We could go with this.
Wait, no, but this is I mean, I don't know how much philosophy you studied, but the point is that you've got these true dichotomies here. Either you're determined with respect to your will, or you're not, right?
Why is this a true dichotomy?
Because either it's, you know what a true dichotomy is? It's like A or not A.
Yeah, of course I know what it is.
Okay, so it's either that.
Why is this a true dichotomy?
Because either it's, you know what a true dichotomy is? It's like A or not A.
Yeah, of course I know what it is.
Okay, so it's either that God's will is determined or God's will is not determined. A or not A. So you think?
Of course, I don't think God's determined, right?
Okay, so if God's not determined with respect to his will, then you have indeterminacy. Indeterminacy implies no explanation, because an explanation already, kind of means that it's determined, right? Because determinism is that the will is explained by antecedent conditions. All right. So if you think God has libertarian freedom, then his choices are indeterminate. And if it's indeterminate, there's no explanation. If there's no explanation, then it's random.
See, okay, do you know how much of a false correlation that is? Just because he's an indeterminate being, he's an independent being, doesn't mean everything he portrays and gives to us will be
I didn't say independent. Independent is different. I didn't say independent. Independent means something totally different in philosophy. I said indeterminate.
Yes, he's indeterminate, but that doesn't mean everything he says to us is
no,
indeterminate.
It's not. I didn't say that God is indeterminate. I'm saying his will is indeterminate. Very different.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, God's will is indeterminate, right?
Okay, if it's indeterminate, that means that there's there's no explanation for why he wills something, right, over another.
No. Again, that's false correlation.
Well, then if there's an explanation, go ahead.
Okay, listen, right. God's will, obviously, we take the fact that he's not determined by anything. But if we say that God's will is indeterminate in the sense that, there's nothing to influence what he's saying, right? Thus meaning nothing or everything he says is indeterminate, and it's a brute fact, has no explanation, is utterly stupid. I don't know why you're making it.
Do you know what indeterminate means?
Yes, I know what indeterminate means.
It means without explanation, no cause, right? No explanation.
And his will is indeterminate in the sense that he does as he wishes, but everything he gives to us isn't indeterminate within itself. That's what you're not understanding.
Sorry, if you say that the will is indeterminate, right, then you're saying that the will has no explanation, correct?
Okay, see, then obviously you are defining a term or using a term that we are not agreeing upon. I don't agree to this term that means it has no explanation, right? Okay,
you understand what determined versus it not determined means, right?
We don't correlate these terms with God at all, so there's no point in even.
A lot of theists do. I mean, even
yeah,
Muslim
but just
theists.
A lot of theists do doesn't mean that the actual proper, knowledgeable one on who God really is.
It's a true dichotomy, though, right? You can't reject
yeah, it's a true dichotomy when referring to a situation where it's suitable, but in this case, it's not.
Here, maybe the word determined is a big word for you, so let's use the word cause. Okay. It's either that God's will is caused or not caused.
I think I understand what determined, but you got to realize
that.
So,
do you know what?
How are you going to tell me what I know? Listen,
let's just use. I'm gonna have to mute you,
bro. Can you just listen?
I'm gonna have to mute you. Don't make me mute you. So let's just talk about cause, because cause might be a better word here. Okay, it's either God's will is caused or it's uncaused, right?
Listen, oh my God, I'm gonna repeat this for the last time, bro. When you use dichotomies, especially true dichotomies, you apply them to situations that are suitable for them. In this case, God isn't correlated with these dichotomies, right? We have to use terms external.
Look, it's either that God's will is caused.
How is that gibberish?
Caused.
You didn't even understand what I said.
Exactly. That's why I said it's gibberish.
Okay, well, obviously, I got a separate conversation from that. So, anyways, right, let me explain what I said again, because, obviously, you're not paying attention and you're being very ignorant.
Do you think that God's will
No.
Let
me finish, because I let you finish.
No. You answer the question. Is God's will
I was
caused
talking
or
first.
not caused?
So what are you talking about?
No, I asked the question first, so don't try to spin the narrative.
So I think you're shifting the goalpost and avoiding the issue. You just keep going on
I don't think you know what shifting the goalpost means. We're using different terms than determined.
I didn't mean to
right?
say that. That's why I said
we're using different terms for you, because I don't think you know what determined means.
I already explained what determined means. So I already know what determined means.
Yeah, but you don't know what philosophers mean by it. So I'm going to use a simpler term.
Well, I
for
don't
you,
care
caused
why are you
and
appealing to
uncaused.
authorities?
I'm not appealing to authorities. I'm
Yeah, you
telling
are.
you that this is
I
the way
don't care what
I'm
philosophers
telling
say.
you.
You know,
I'm
philosophers are
I'm
hate.
gonna have to mute you. I'm gonna have to mute you. Sorry. All right. So the point is that philosophers use this language called, determined versus not determined. Now that language is too big for you, so I'm gonna use easier terms.
Why
for
are
you,
you
right?
saying it's too big
It's
for me?
either
It's not.
because you don't understand what determined means, right? So I'm gonna use
I
the word
do.
cause.
I know what the
So
philosophical
you
meaning for
understand.
determined.
Excuse me. I'm gonna have to mute you. All right. So you understand how philosophers use the word determined versus not determined? Is that what you're telling me?
Of course I do.
Okay, so then you understand that if something's determined, right, then there's an antecedent conditions that necessitate its outcome, right? And in other words, an explanation for
Who
the
doesn't
outcome.
know this?
That's what determined means. Okay, so then if you know that, then indeterminacy means without explanation because it's a true dichotomy.
Okay, I'm gonna say my argument, and I'm gonna walk the steps with you very slowly because I need you to actually understand, and this needs to click, right? When referring to determinism, right, in philosophical sense, my bad, right, and indeterminism, we are simply referring to the causation or incausation of this thing, as in it has no explanation or has an explanation for its case and existence, etc., right? And when we apply this to God's will, what we mean by that is there's nothing influencing what. Well, wait. Hold on, wait. I just realized. Wait. Of course, there's something influencing God's will. It's God Himself.
Okay, but that can't be a contrastive reason, right? Because the whole point is what I've been asking and framing the discussion is in terms of creating versus not creating. And given that God is a common factor in both cases, He can't count as an explanation for why one happens rather than the other. So that's not going to be a good answer.
There is, okay, but listen, right? When we refer to determinism,
it's not like you understood anything I said, anyways. But
I mean, I kind of did. I've been understood. You
well,
just,
if we put that to the test, you're gonna.
Excuse me,
I'm gonna have to mute you. Okay. Look, the point is that you couldn't regurgitate what I said. You said that God could be an explanation for why He chooses one thing over another. But what an explanation does in a contrastive case where why does A happen rather than B, then the explanation can't be present in both outcomes, right? You have to have, that's called Mills' method. I think it's the fifth one. Okay. If you know anything about philosophy, right, then you'll know that if you're trying to explain a difference, you have to appeal to a differentiating factor. God is not a differentiating factor between the two outcomes.
Then who would influence God's will?
Well, that's just the thing. A lot of theists think that God's will is indeterminate. There's nothing. There's no explanation for why God makes one choice over another. That's called libertarian freedom. And if there's no explanation, then that means randomness, because randomness just means no explanation for the outcome.
This is what I'm going to comment on this, right? God's free will, right? God wishes and does what He wants to an extent where we can't understand what God intends or wants. Like whatever God wishes and whatever He does,
what does that have to do?
Because listen, when you say His free will is determined or indeterminate, nothing influences His will. But again, that doesn't.
So it's indeterminate. So it's indeterminate.
Hold on. Yeah, but the term indeterminate isn't gonna apply to Him. Listen, when you say indeterminate in the sense that it's not there's no explanation for it, right? There's no explanation that we are aware of. Let me say.
No, that's not what it means in philosophy.
I know what it means in philosophy, but I'm saying you can't.
Well, then why are you equivocating?
Listen. What this point doesn't even matter. What are you even saying? Listen, right? So in
the point, I'll explain why the point matters, because earlier you said that on atheism everything is random, or at least why we're here is random. Okay, and I'm just saying on theism you have the same problem because God's will is indeterminate. That's the relevance of the point, in case you forgot.
Oh my God! All right, now listen, right? So again, what's it called? Indeterminacy for His will. God, what's it called? God isn't governed, but at the same time, there's like.
Are you over the age of 18?
Of course, I'm over the age of 18.
What's your birth year?
December 21st, 2004.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so indeterminacy is that, what's it called? There's nothing influencing God, and it's not explained, right?
Right. So then that means there's randomness on the God hypothesis. So atheism is not the only one with randomness. On theism, there's randomness.
No. Just because, how are you deriving the fact that there's no explanation to influence what he wills, that everything he says, or if we were to derive from him, right, that it's random? How does that even correlate?
I'm not making the claim on both. To clarify, I'm not making the claim that everything is random on both atheism and theism. I'm saying that with respect to why we're here, there's going to be randomness somewhere. In our case, maybe some naturalists might say the starting conditions of the universe, those might not have an explanation. Those might be random. On the theistic model, God's first will, active creative will, there's not going to be an explanation on that level because God's will is indeterminate. So then you have randomness in both cases. So it's not like atheists are the only ones with randomness. You have randomness.
Okay. And are you saying that it is indeterminate categorically and indeterminate or indeterminate just to us?
I guess the former. I don't really see why anyone would make that distinction here in this context.
Because obviously it's indeterminate to us because we are unaware of what.
Why would that matter? The point is that I'm fine with saying that on naturalism there's indeterminacy, but I don't have to know what's indeterminate, right? I don't have to know what part of what specific will God has that's indeterminate to know.
Yeah. So again, you just don't understand, and you keep saying that we come from.
What don't I understand?
You keep saying that we come from randomness, right? Because we don't understand.
Well, you think God's will is indeterminate, right?
God's will is indeterminate.
Yeah, so that means indeterminacy implies randomness because randomness means there's no explanation. Indeterminacy means there's no explanation.
I mean, that could fit in a particular setting, but not categorically.
Okay, so we both have randomness. So it's atheists are not the only ones.
But you're not understanding. I'm saying no. Did you just not listen to what I said? Did you fly past your ear? I said it only occurs in a particular setting, right? Not categorically.
I don't know why. Why would you say that?
I don't even know. This doesn't apply to an overall sense. Thus, it doesn't.
Why would you say this? I don't understand why. I mean, what are you talking about right now?
It doesn't apply to
that. If you think that God's will is indeterminate, that means there are things that are not explained on theism, which means that there are random events or brute contingent facts about on a theistic model. If there are brute contingent facts on a theistic model, then there are brute contingent facts on naturalism as well. So we both have the same problem. I don't really actually think it's a problem. You think it's a problem.
But it's not random. God's a creative intelligence that we...
yeah, but all random means is just something that's brutally contingently the case.
So the randomness you are getting from... Okay, so the problem that we are having in not reaching synthesis because I don't understand when you say... there's no explanation. Are you referring to that there's no explanation that influences God's will, or there's no explanation as to why, let's go with that. Are you saying that there's no explanation as to why God does anything he does?
No, there's no explanation, or it's brutally contingently the case that when God makes one choice rather than another, that there's no explanation for that.
Yeah, that doesn't correlate to us being random.
Will. But that's what indeterminacy means. Do you know what indeterminacy means? Do you know what randomness means?
We just went over this.
Contingent.
This retracts to my original point. It does not apply to God because you were saying that if God were to make
I thought you just said God's will is not determined, right? So it's indeterminate.
But it's a dichotomy that's not meant to apply in this situation. Dichotomy.
Yeah, it seems like you're just special pleading now, and then you're just retracting the claim that God's will is indeterminate.
Now listen, right? I mean, first of all, argumentatively, there's nothing wrong with retracting. A healthy backtrack is completely fine. But anyway,
okay, so you are backtracking?
No, I never said I was backtracking.
Okay, so you just
I was just clarifying.
Said that
you seem like you don't understand.
You're prepping in case you have to backpedal. I get it. Okay, go ahead.
No, that's not the case. You just didn't understand basic argumentative skills, right? So basically, let me continue. So you're saying that if God were to make one decision over, if God were to, he does anything he wishes, while thus also being rationally possible that he could have chose something for example, I'm basing off my information that he did create us, but it's also rationally possible that he didn't create us or I mean, he could have chosen not to create us. My bad, right? So this would mean that you cannot like be selective and say it's an indeterminacy because there's no explanation as to why God would what's it called
Sorry, is God's will indeterminate or determined?
Again, I'm
Determined
not
or not
answering.
determined?
It's no. This is a dichotomy that doesn't apply here, so I don't get to answer that.
Yeah,
right? So
give me but it's a true dichotomy. It would apply to anything, right?
No, that's not the case.
It's either this cup is determined or not determined, right? And if it doesn't apply, then it's just not determined.
Okay, pal, right? Mr. Danny. So basically, I'm gonna say this, right? How does what's it called? You can't make the claim that we don't have any reasoning, right? That God, chose this over the other, but we can say we are ignorant of it.
I'm not making that claim. I'm just asking: is either God's will is determined or it's not determined? It's a true dichotomy. It's one or the other. Do you accept the law of excluded middle?
And are you referring?
Logic?
No, the laws of logic are man-made.
Okay, so you don't accept logic then?
Oh no, the laws of logic aren't logic, pal.
Do you accept logical principles? Any?
I don't know. Do I?
That's my question to you, but it would make sense if you don't, because you're kind of irrational.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm irrational. Now, listen, pal.
But then you're presupposing logic. If you're saying you're not
bud.
irrational.
Listen, buddy. Okay, buddy.
You're just trolling now. You're kind of kill screening. It's just got killed. He's just saying weird stuff. I don't know what's going on. All right, let's let the next person in. What's up? Is it Taxi? Hey, what do we disagree about?
I'm sorry, my English is not very, very good, so I'm sorry for that.
It's okay. We'll try.
Okay. You said Christianity is false and Islam is false.
Mm-hmm.
And what about Judaism?
Oh, sure. Anything that posits a perfect being or a god, then yeah, it's false.
Okay. So I believe in I'm a Muslim, okay? So I will show you some little proof that there is a God.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So you know the story about Moses?
Uh-huh.
He was driven away.
Uh-huh.
Who was the man who drove him away?
Well, I mean, didn't he killed? Didn't he kill someone and fled Egypt? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about Joseph's brothers when they dumped him, sold him to slavery? Which one are you talking about? Like, I mean, what location are you talking about?
It was Pharaoh.
Yeah, but there's also Joseph's brothers, like, cast him out, sold him into slavery, right? So I didn't know what you're talking about. Okay, but look, I mean, are you starting with this story? Because I think that the Exodus is not very historical.
Okay, because Pharaoh is still in a museum.
Sorry, what?
You know the story about Pharaoh.
Yeah, but okay, look, I know of the story. I don't think it's true the way that the Bible talks about it.
Okay, that the Bible talks about it. Okay, I understand you, but did you read the Quran about it?
Yeah, but didn't the Quran, whoever wrote the Quran, where they got that from the Old Testament, right? They got it from the Torah.
Old Testament.
Yeah.
From the Torah. Yes.
Yeah, so whatever I read about the Quran.
Because I want to tell you something. God is one. So Christianity, Judaism, Islam, it's all the same. It's only the people who changed the writing. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, I appreciate your perspective, man, but I don't think this conversation is going to get very far. So I'm going to move on to the next person. All right.
Okay, sorry. 1 second. 1 second.
You take care. No. Sorry, I just feel like that wasn't good. I was getting bored. He's a nice guy, though. I have nothing against you personally. What's up, Slat? What do we disagree about?
I figured I'd never see you again. Thought you were a little dim in the headlights, but you proved me wrong.
Okay, next. What's up, Mohammed? What do we disagree
Hello.
about?
Okay, cool, man. Actually, I disagree with the fact that there isn't a God, because I do believe that there is a God.
Okay. Why do you believe that there's a God?
Okay, because if you look at the entire world, every single thing is created in such a way that there's a system. It's a systematic way. If you look at the trees give off carbon dioxide. We take in carbon dioxide. Someone planned it. Someone thought of it. It didn't just occur. It didn't just happen.
Okay. Do you think everything is designed then?
Everything as in?
Everything that exists, is it designed?
Everything that exists is designed. Yes,
okay,
I do
God
agree.
Designed? Is God designed?
God doesn't have, according to our belief, a size, a shape, something that our brain can comprehend. He created our brain, and our logic can
did something design God, or did some other
No.
God design? All right, so
No.
there are things. So God is more complex than anything in nature, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yet it's not designed. So I don't see why naturalists couldn't just say that the universe isn't designed the way that you think God isn't designed, even though they're both complex.
Earlier on, I was listening where you were asking about whether God's decisions is determined or not determined.
Yeah, you want to talk about
Remember?
that?
Yeah, I don't mind talking about that. You see, God doesn't, even if it doesn't make sense to our logic, and He wants something, He asked us to do certain things, even if it defies logic. According to religious belief, we have to follow it because that's what He wanted. Like if your father tells you, go out there and do a certain thing, it doesn't have to make sense for you to do it. It's listening and obeying, you know?
Okay, I get the obedience part, but my challenge is whether it logically is coherent. So whether there's something contradictory in theism.
Okay, so let me explain to you a little bit more about our belief, and I'm gonna try to be as logical as possible, because obviously bringing religious scriptures into a discussion that someone's not believing in it is not gonna hold any or much weight. So basically, our belief is that we have been sent into this world as a test. Yes, because someone else I had a discussion with told me, why would God create a world that has problems, that has crime, that has whatever? He basically put us here to test us, and then obviously we
What do you mean
believe
by test
there's
here?
heaven and test,
What do you
as
mean?
in
What do you mean by test?
follow whatever he has revealed in his divine books, like obey me,
Okay,
pray
so when
to
you
me,
say
worship.
all right, so you just mean that when God created us, He just wanted us to follow. He wants us to follow what He wants us to do, right? Or what His commands
Yeah,
are.
he wants us to do what he wants us to do.
All right. I mean, I don't see why. I think that's presupposing God, right? But I don't believe in God, so I don't think that gets us very far.
Yeah. No. So basically, even if we think of him as forcing us or whatever, our opinion doesn't matter, because he created you. He created you for a purpose. And that purpose is to worship him, please him, obey him, be good to people, treat others around you good, whatever the things we do in our daily life, you know, and you will be rewarded. Okay, so basically what you are saying is after you die, there's nothing, it ends there. Is it that?
Yeah,
Does
I
it
think
end there?
that's very likely, but I personally also think that could still happen even if God exists. God doesn't guarantee that you're going to have an afterlife. I think that's just people assume that given their holy text, or they force their values on what God, they impose their values on God. Really, if God existed, I don't see why we should anticipate an afterlife.
No, because what would be the point of creating you and giving you what he wanted to give you? He wanted to see whether you obey him to reward you. You understand? According to religious
but why
belief.
Does God need to reward people?
But God, he doesn't need to. He didn't need to create us.
So for all I know, there could be a God out there. There could be a God out there that created us, told us what to do, and then after we die, he annihilates our soul. We don't exist. No afterlife.
So basically, you're saying there's no justice system. If you hurt people, rob people, so there's no justice system.
Yeah, but look, God doesn't need to. Whatever you just said is that whatever God says goes, right? If he decides to have no afterlife, then that's fine, and that's the point. That God doesn't guarantee an afterlife. And I mean, it was a side point, but if you want to continue with what you wanted to say, it was just a side point that even if God existed, I don't think we should expect an afterlife.
Okay, so basically, how did the world come about according to your ideology?
Well, let's just say I don't know. How does that help your case?
Well, there has to be a reason for everything according to your case,
No, I don't believe there's. I think at some point there's not going to be an answer to our question. We can't just keep on asking why infinitely. There's going to be a point where there's not a further explanation.
Yeah, no, definitely. So if you're telling me you don't know how the world came into existence, you don't know. There's no explanation for it. Is that it?
Well, it depends on what you mean by world. But if you're talking about like planet Earth and life and solar system, maybe galaxy, whatever, universe, there could be an explanation for that. I don't know it. I'm just not going to say, well, because I don't know, therefore God.
Yeah. No, but what led me to believe that there is a God is because of the system and the timing of the system. Like every morning, the sun rises at around a certain time. Like if there wasn't someone controlling this system, it would have been, however, it could have been the other way around. It could have been night for 3 days, according to our understanding, because there's no one controlling a
that
system.
Could be true. That could be true on God. Couldn't God change his mind and not make the sun rise from the east anymore?
He can, and according to our holy scriptures, he will. At one point, he will do that.
That's just the point that God doesn't guarantee. God doesn't guarantee any regularity. There could be chaos the next minute, right? Complete physical chaos, right? There's no guarantee of regularity, especially if God exists. In fact, if anything, the existence of God can very well undermine order and naturalistic order.
Okay, so you're saying that you can't expect anything from God.
Well, I mean, I know that you have the Quran, and I know if you presuppose a holy text, then you've got a psychology to work with.
Yeah,
you got
that's why I don't know if you noticed. I've tried my best to not bring holy scriptures into it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and it's okay. Look, it's okay to say, look, I have reasons for why I accept the Quran, and I agree with you that independent of the Quran, what you're saying might be true. But given the Quran, God has God has this particular type of psychology, these set of goals and preferences, and he articulates his nature. So that, and I'm basing what I should. Okay, is that kind of your belief?
You see, my belief in God obviously is based on the Quran, and the brother earlier said that it's a continuation of another book of the Torah, and our belief is not that. Actually, what we do believe is it's the word of God. God sent down by messengers, but I didn't want to get into all of that because I know you don't believe in religion.
I'll ask you some questions. How did Muhammad know that he was talking to God, or that he was in communication with the angel Gabriel, who was from God? How did he know?
Because the knowledge that he was, can I say knowledge? The information that was brought down came to pass, and that made him, like if I told you a certain thing is gonna happen and it happens, that brings about a sense of trust within you. You start trusting me because that information I gave you did happen to be true. So in the same way, the information that he was given from Jibril or Gabriel was true. It turned out to be true. And then after that, the communication carried
just
on.
out of curiosity, what kind of information? Like, did Gabriel give him something that, like what did he give him?
Okay, he didn't know how to read. He didn't know how to write. Okay, so
Okay.
he used to go into a cave that we call the cave of Hira, and he used to ponder like what's going on around the cities, which were women being buried alive, alcohol, like all the bad things that you want to think about. Let's not get too carried away and drift away from the topic. But basically, he was given information about Joseph. He was given information of things of the past and also things that were to come in the future. And
okay, so here's let's say there is a God, okay,
right,
of the type of God that the Bible describes and maybe the Quran. This is my confusion, right? You believe that currently Christianity is corrupted, right? Currently.
Correct.
Okay. And Christians currently think that Islam is corrupted, right? That's what they think. Okay. It's corrupted. Okay. So that means that either the devil's at play or men are at play in terms of their deception or lunacy. Someone messed up the system. Right. One of y'all, if we're just, let's bracket all the other religions. Let's just say these are the only two plausible ones for sake of argument. One of y'all, it's Satan had something to do with it, or man's deceit. And I'm just saying that from this perspective, they look equally as plausible, right? Like, there are things in, I mean, and I just don't see why I have a reason to accept the testimony of Muhammad over the testimony of Paul, for instance, or vice versa.
Right. No, so it's good that you brought that up. Look, according to our belief, all the religions were actually from God, up to the point where Christianity came from God via Christ or Jesus, who was a messenger according to our belief, and he brought the message. So when Muhammad came down, every religion that came after another religion basically canceled the corruptions and came in a new whole form. You understand?
Okay, so Muhammad, one of the reasons why he came about, you're saying, is to correct how Christianity was faltering, is what you're saying?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Christianity, I mean, but look, why can't that be true of Joseph Smith? Do you know who Joseph Smith is?
No. Can you teach me?
Do you know what Mormonism is?
Not really.
It's like I'm not saying you should be familiar with it. It's like some religion made up in, like, what is it, Montana or Missouri or one of those states, and it's a a lot of Christians get uncomfortable when I say it's a branch of Christianity, but they see themselves as Christians, and they have a completely different book, a different gospel, different prophet named is Joseph Smith. And so I'm just saying, did he come about to correct the corruption seen in Christianity and in Islam? Like, at what point do thanks for the hat, guys. At what point are there going to be a ceasing of prophets where, like, they're, like, how do I tell that you're corrupted or you're not corrupted if there are new prophets coming off saying, hey?
No, basically, according to our belief and according to the Quran, that Muhammad will be the last prophet. This is the last book. And God himself said, I will protect this book. How we feel is protected? Basically, for me, I myself have parted the Quran. So it's 848 pages. There are many like me. There are thousands. So if the entire Quran has to get wiped, we can write it tomorrow. So we believe it's protected in that sense, where it's in the original language, it's in Arabic, it's not the words of Muhammad, it's the words of God that was sent via Jibreel to Muhammad, who didn't know how to read and write. Keep that in mind. So he has this book. He doesn't know how to read, how to write. Jibreel or Gabriel is the intermediate, where he gets it from. And we have it in that pure form up to this point in time, just like how it was revealed.
Yeah, but Joseph Smith said the same stuff, right? He had an interaction with a divine being, like an angel or angels. I don't remember quite what the divine being was. He got golden plates, I believe. I could be wrong. A Mormon can correct me in chat. And had a similar type of revelation as Muhammad. And then I'm just looking at Paul, who had a similar type of revelation than these other two. And I'm just saying that I think this is one of the reasons why, even if I was wrong about there not being a God, if there was a God, I don't think I'm in a position to accept any of these religions.
Okay, I see. Let's leave all of this because I don't think I'm very strong in my faith, and obviously you're strong in your belief as well. Let's get back to logic, right? If fine. Right, if someone says they believe in something, and there's another person who says I don't understand it, so I'm not believing, right? So basically, you at a point in your life where you don't believe in afterlife, or even if there is, you don't know, you're not going to get into it, right? Is that true? I don't think there's any. Yeah, I believe that there is an afterlife. I will be rewarded for the good that I do. I will be punished for the bad that I do. If both of us pass away, right, who's more likely to receive goodness if there is any goodness after?
Oh, sorry. What was the question? I don't believe in an afterlife, so this is a hard question for me to. Yeah. Like, who do I think is a better person, you or I?
Hypothetically, just say I can't guarantee you there is an afterlife without logic. Now we're just using logic, right? I can't guarantee you. I'm not using my scriptures. I don't know if there's an afterlife according to not using any scripture.
Independent of revelation, like in the Quran. Or
yes,
okay.
Yes, right. But because of my belief in the Quran, I'm gonna do good. I'm gonna be good to people. I'm gonna worship God the way I was taught to worship Him, and you're gonna carry on living the way you living. We both pass away, right? If there is an afterlife, who's more likely to benefit from it?
Oh, okay. If I were to think that an afterlife is a place where good people go, if then there might be, or let's say like a heaven, not like a hell. Then it seems like it's intuitive to think that a person that's done good in their lives is more likely to enter than a person that's done not as good. Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
So if we work with those, I mean that's a lot to assume. I mean, I think if we're putting away revelation, couldn't there be an afterlife that rewards people that do evil things like, are lying, stealing, and cheating? Like, why are we ruling that out? I mean, why did the good guys always win? I mean, we watched too many movies, Muhammad, right? Like in the movies, the good guys always win, right? But I don't. I think that's just again that's imposing what we want. We want to be rewarded for the good things we do.
Okay, but that would come back to logic again. Logically, does it make sense to be rewarded for bad? If you go now and steal in any country, will you be rewarded for stealing, or will you face a justice system?
I'll face the justice system, but the point is that why think that?
So how is it fair? Well, how is it fair to be rewarded or to be punished
I'm just
in a
saying
justice system?
What I'm trying to say is that if there's an afterlife out there, I have no idea how it would work. And I'm just saying that we're assuming based on what we want to happen. We want our good deeds to be rewarded. We're assuming that this after
exactly why I like the fact that you said we watch too many movies, and why do the good guys always have to be rewarded? So basically you're saying that logically it doesn't make sense for us to face, if I come into your house and if I steal your belongings, you don't expect me to be punished because that's just a man-made ideology and logic. Why can't I be rewarded? Why can't people throw a party for me for robbing your house? Is that what you're saying?
No. I understand in our context, because I think that how we punish and reward or reactive attitudes towards, those sorts of things that happen in society are based on what we want to happen inevitably, what our values, right? And I'm just saying that if there's an afterlife out there, independent of our society, independent of our values, we can only assume that our that the way that it works is in accordance with our values. I don't think there's an argument or any evidence to suggest that it would, though.
Right. So now, just
hey, I'm gonna give you the last word. Wait, I'm gonna give you the last word here, and I'm gonna move on to the next person. I'm trying to wrap it up, but go ahead and get the last word, and I'll move on.
Okay, let me just say. So basically, God that created us obviously understands the way we think. So if we think that system that rewards good and punishes evil makes sense, obviously, according to belief and according to logic, he's gonna use the same system on us. He's not gonna use a different system because he created systems and he created us. Anyway, I'll end on that note. It was good speaking to you. Take care.
Thank you. You were very pleasant to talk to, and thanks for. It seems like you care, and I liked how there's something to learn from you. You gotta understand who you're talking to, guys. As Muhammad did, he tried not to appeal to things that I don't accept the Quran, and I appreciated that. Thanks for your request. You have a great one.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to the next person.
Mic check. Check 1 2.
Hey, what's up? What do we disagree about?
Mic check 1 2. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hey, and I wanted to say hey, Sydney, in the chat. Okay, go ahead.
All right, cool. So from what I've heard thus far, you're taking a position of uncertainty, right?
Of what? No, I mean, I'm an atheist. I'm pretty certain that God does not exist.
How?
Well, I think a perfect being. This is just not the world I would expect if there was a perfect being in control.
How so?
Well, the point is that on every religion, this world is imperfect. On every of the Abrahamic ones, at least. And the idea is that if a perfect being had total control over the situation, you wouldn't expect any imperfections in his creation. The fact that there are imperfections in creation is just not what you would expect if a perfect being was in control.
Says who?
Says most Christians, Muslims, Jews, even, other theistic traditions in the East, right? There's problems with the human condition and stuff like that.
I mean, maybe Muslims say that, but any honest Christian won't ever say that.
Does an honest Christian say that that all things considered, creation is perfect?
No.
Okay, so then there's imperfections in creation.
For a reason.
Okay, so the point is that if there are imperfections in creation, that's not what I would expect if a perfect being was in control.
Why?
Because a perfect being that's in control would know how to actualize a world without flaws, a world without imperfections. And given that they're a perfect being and they ever do anything that they ought not to do, they're going to actualize a world without imperfections, a perfect world. But it didn't do that, so that's why I don't think that such a being exists, like a perfect being.
Okay, but says who?
I don't understand how you're replying now. You already asked. Be more specific.
You're saying that because God is perfect in the religious idea that all of creation would be perfect and there'd be.
That's the conclusion, but that's not the argument.
What's the argument?
I said it like twice. The point is that a perfect being that's in control, two things follow from that, right? Number one, a perfect being entails that anything that the perfect being actualizes, it would be something that they ought to actualize, and something that a perfect being couldn't actualize something that ought not to be actualized. Correct? And that's just what we mean by perfect. Right? A perfect being doesn't make mistakes. A perfect being always does what he should do.
So according to you, there's no free will.
I don't see how free will has anything to do with this.
free will can technically be imperfect, right?
Well, if free will is imperfect, then God would avoid bringing it about.
Says who?
Says you. You said that free will is an imperfection, right? So if God is perfect, he would avoid it.
Not at all. Not at all. I didn't say free will is imperfect.
Well, then be
I'm
clear about what you're
asking you
saying.
if you think so.
It doesn't. This is an internal critique. Do you know what an internal critique is? It means that we don't assume my perspective. We assume the theist perspective. The theist perspective. I don't know whether free will is imperfect or perfect.
You're the host. So I'm trying to understand your position.
No. I'm analyzing your position as a theist.
Okay,
you wanted an argument for atheism, right? And part of that can involve.
I'm asking. Hold on. Apologies for interrupting, but I'm asking you questions to understand your position better, so in that way we can have a calm, sound argument. So please.
No, this is not all true. No, you're lying now because didn't you say earlier, so you don't believe that there's free will? Didn't you say that?
What I said in the beginning was
you made a claim. You weren't just asking questions. You made a claim about me not considering free will. And then now I'm asking what the relevance of free will was.
All I asked was, so you think free will doesn't exist?
Yeah, that's a
all
claim.
I asked.
You understand that's a claim.
Not a claim, bro. That's me asking you a question.
Do you believe that what I said implied that there's no freedom?
I mean, you said that there are imperfections. Things are imperfect, therefore God can't be perfect, or God doesn't exist.
No, let's go back to this. When you said, so you think that there is no free will, you weren't claiming that my position entailed that there was free will? You weren't claiming that?
No, I was just asking you a question.
Okay, so then no. Okay, so I'm telling you free will has nothing to do with the argument. Nothing in my argument implied anything about freedom. We can move on now.
Okay, so what is it that causes these imperfections then?
God actualized it, right? Without God, none of it would happen.
By that you mean that because God created reality, and then reality became imperfect, or reality is imperfect according to your thought process, that he's imperfect or doesn't exist?
The point is that if God can make a choice, he can make a choice to where it's just him, or he can make a choice where he creates. And God knows everything. So he knows that if he creates, what would happen, what would occur. And if he knows that what would occur is imperfection, then yeah, if he goes forward with that creative act, that actualization, then he's responsible.
Okay, but how does that make him imperfect?
Because a perfect being only actualizes things that he should actualize, not imperfections. Imperfections ought not to be there by definition.
Okay. Understandable. So that's your entire argument pretty much, or is there more to it?
That's one consideration for atheism. There are other ones, but
wait, so you right now the whole debate is atheism versus religion, basically?
I guess why specifically, I mean, forms of Christianity, I think I'm sort of against. Like I don't like Trinitarianism isn't coherent. Incarnation doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I mean, generally, I think theism is an untenable position. Now, if people want to be a theist because they can get on with their lives or happier, I have no problem with that. So, I mean, I'm not an anti-theist. I'm only an anti-theist with respect to people that believe in God and then harm other people because of it.
Okay, so how can you absolutely state with certainty that religion is false at all?
Well, because if theism is false, then all these other religions are false. Now, they're atheistic forms of religion, like Theravada Buddhism isn't kind of atheistic. So I'm not talking about those. My thing is that any religion that invokes theism is going to be a religion that is going to have a lot of problems philosophically.
But that's not my question. My question is, how can you, with absolute certainty, state any of that?
What do you mean? I mean, I'm very certain, but certainty is not a factor in knowledge, right? So it doesn't matter.
Yes. Yes, it is.
No.
Yes,
all I take knowledge to
is.
be is what are you going to appeal to an epistemologist that thinks that most epistemologists disagree with you, including myself?
Not
right?
at all. I mean, most epistemologists would say that you need an absolute degree of certainty to state any position whatsoever.
No. I will appeal to the SEP, the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. They specifically say that most epistemologists do not think that certainty is an ingredient in knowledge, right? So you're just talking out of your ass.
So basically, you're saying that you can make any claim whatsoever without any degree of certainty.
That's not what they think at all. Look, they're just saying
that's essentially what you're saying.
No, that's not. No. I don't even think you know what certainty is. All certainty is towards a proposition, but what knowledge is something different. Knowledge is the fact that the proposition is true in conjunction with you believing it and you having a good reason for it, that it might serve the grounds of what knowledge might be in these spaces. Right now, people think there's more to that. I'm fine with saying there might be more than that, but it's not certainty. People don't add certainty to that equation. Not epistemologists, at least. You can think about this, right? There are people that are very certain about things and they're just really wrong, and there are people that are not so certain and they actually know. Certainty does not participate in whether you know something. Now, whether you know something might affect how you feel about it, what your certainty level is. It might work in that direction, but some people know things and they don't really have a certain amount of certainty, that you're thinking of. Absolute certainty, whatever that is.
The fact that you're even saying that is illogical. I mean, I understand. I understand.
I already pointed out. I already pointed out that you're talking out your ass because you said that. Excuse me. I already pointed out that you talked out of your ass because you said that most epistemologists think that certainty is an ingredient of knowledge. I will cite the SEP, which is pretty much every professional philosopher respects the SEP, right? And the SEP specifically states that most epistemologists do not think that certainty is an ingredient of knowledge. So you're just a bullshitter. That's what you are, right? And I'm moving on to the next person.
First of all, that's an ad hominem.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, what do we disagree about?
I don't disagree. You're the one who disagrees. But what do you agree on? What do you? I mean, like
I'm only here to. I'm here to debate, fight, and disagree. Are you here to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do we disagree about?
Well, what I'm asking you is like, if Christianity is false, what is reality to you?
What is reality to me? It's a reality without God and Jesus being God. That's pretty much.
All right, that's fair enough. But you have to believe in something. What do you believe in?
I believe.
What do you believe?
I don't even understand that question. A lot of people ask me this question. What the heck are people saying when they say, "What do you believe in?" If you're not a theist, what do you mean?
All right, so what do you do? Like, you believe in the sciences? You believe in?
Yeah, science is great. Philosophy is great. Math is
all right,
great.
So you believe in like moon landings?
Yeah, I think that there's a moon landing. I think there was.
You believe in moon landings? Okay, so you like you'll argue that people landed on the moon.
I won't argue it. I just kind of accept the consensus, just for practical
You accept
reasons.
that, okay? So why do you accept that?
Well, it's a consensus,
what proof
right?
do you have that it happened?
No, a lot of things that I believe in are from testimony. I don't believe everything because I have an argument for it or that I know the evidence, right? I accept certain people's testimonies and some I don't accept. And so if you ask, for instance, like I think that there are protons and neutrons in a nucleus of an atom, but I've never seen that shit, right? I mean, I wouldn't even... If you wanted an argument or evidence for why that's true, I wouldn't be able to know. I'm just saying that seems to be the scientific consensus. People don't really have problems with it, so it seems reasonable to believe.
Well, Christianity had eyewitnesses.
Well, I would question that, but
why wouldn't you question moon landings?
Because there's a huge consensus about the moon landing. There is little consensus about. In fact, if anything, the consensus points towards.
there's billions of people who believe in it.
Do you know what I mean? Okay, look, I don't. There are different types of consensus, right? That they're not the. There's a testimony of your testimony. Like if I was sick, I wouldn't go to your testimony. I'd go to a doctor's testimony, right? So I'm not going to accept every testimony. There's certain testimonies that I trust, and there's certain institutions that I trust, and there's certain ones I don't, right? And if anything, the historical institution, so scholarship, right, is actually more on my side about the historicity of Christ than on your side.
So, so you believe in something that's fairly new versus something that's over 2,000 years old.
Where did you get that from?
Well, Christ has been known for 2,000 years, right? It's verbal, visual testimony.
And
where moon landings are from the 60s, that if you do the math, you would come to a conclusion that it
the
didn't
age
happen.
doesn't matter. I believe the scholars. I have no problem with saying that Jesus existed. The majority of scholars, both atheist and theist, Christians and not, think that Jesus existed historically. There are people like Richard Carrier and other Jesus mythicists that Robert Price, I think he's a Jesus mythicist, that don't think he existed. They're a minority, so I'm fine with saying he existed. But in terms of what's the scholarship people, they don't know of that people that Jesus performed, which is the Bible, right? And so that just makes it less plausible.
Yeah, but the same goes
the Quran,
for
I guess, too.
The what? Oh, the Quran, yeah.
The Quran, too. Yeah.
Well, the same goes for the moon landings. I mean, where do you get your information from?
What's the same goes for what? The same goes for what? What did I say?
Well, the one thing is, at least you believe in like you believe in something. So you believe in like science because for some whatever reason you think because somebody went to college and got an education that they know something that people from the book, the Christian book, doesn't know because they didn't go to college. Is that the feelings you have?
Look, my point is very simple, right? There are a lot of things I don't understand. There are a lot of things that have happened that I did not witness and that I don't have evidence for. So I have to to a major extent depend on people's testimonies. Now, some testimonies are unreliable. Some testimonies are very good. Okay. So the testimonies that surround the moon landing are very good. The testimonies that surround, Jesus performing miracles are not as good. Right. So it's very simple to me.
Well, isn't it going to the moon a miracle?
No.
Why?
Because I don't think there's divine intervention. Do you mean by miracle? You mean divine intervention?
Well, the divine intervention is human intervention versus divine intervention.
You're just equivocating on miracle. You're just changing the definition of miracle. If you want to call, what's the difference? I mean, you're using a proprietary definition of miracle. If an iPad, I think if I say, my gosh, technology, phones are a miracle, I'm using a different sense than when Catholics say that miracle occurred, right?
Right. So if you believe in moon landings, wasn't it a miracle that the astronauts?
No, not in the relevant sense.
Okay, all right, but it was it was
amazing,
an astounding feat.
Yeah, it was great, awesome.
It's been worshipped up until now. Like people will die.
Now I'm getting off that train. What are you worshipped? I mean, I don't know anything about this.
Well, you're worshiping the fact that man actually created a spaceship that took off a planet that's a million times.
Looks like you're equivocating. You're equivocating on worship too, right? Do you know what equivocation means? You're doing it a lot.
Do I know what equivocation means?
Yeah.
No.
It means that when you're equivocating on a term, you're basically using a different sense than they're basically two different senses of the same.
Well, I'm just making examples of of the same argument that you're making. You're making an argument that
you're equivocating on terms. Look. There's this miracle and the divine interventions, because then you're just talking past me. If I'm saying there are no miracles And I'm saying that I don't worship moon landings. I'm using a specific sense. And then we'll say, well, there are miracles, and you do worship moon landings, and then you're using different terms, then you're just equivocating. You're causing confusion. You're using proprietary definitions.
I'm giving you examples.
All right. I don't think you're prepared for this type of conversation. What's up, guys? I'm going to interact with chat in a second. I'm getting tired of these people. Some of them are nice, but, you know, some of them are, ugh. All right. Let's get Abdullah. Abdullah.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's going on? What do we disagree about?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you. How you doing?
You just asked me that.
Did I? Okay.
What do we disagree about?
Agree, disagree. Yeah. As a Muslim, I do not agree with that one. You said Islam is false. So
okay. Why do you believe that Islam is true?
Before I fall into Islam is true or false, that conversation, I think we should understand what a human is doing here, right?
Sorry, what? I zoned out. That's not my fault. My fault. Can you repeat that?
I said, like, as a human, what you, me, and all human, why we are in here in this earth.
Let's say I don't know.
Okay, that's a good question. Let's just say you don't know. So you believe that we are going to die. That you believe, right? You not only believe, you also know that human must die.
Yeah, I think we're gonna die.
Right. But do you want to die?
No, I don't want to die. Not right now, at least.
Me neither.
Maybe after this life I might, but not right now.
Exactly. You see, you said after this life. So as a human, our basic instinct, like, we do not want to die. We want to live forever.
I know some that don't, but I want to live. I'm fine with
Look, those whoever says they don't, they maybe say it, but deep in their mind, maybe somehow they are frustrated of their life, or they think, oh my goodness, that life is not good, I want to die. But still, nobody wants to die because...
All right. I don't mean to get stuck on that point. Okay, yeah, I don't want to die.
Okay. So if you don't want to die, but still you are dying, that makes somebody is controlling me, right?
Sorry, what?
Though I don't want to die, but still I have to die on this life, right?
Okay.
And that means someone or some entity is controlling my life and death, right? Clear?
No.
So who is giving me death?
You're asking me why I don't want to die?
No, I said, who is giving me death? I don't want to die, but still I have to die. So that means someone is controlling the precious thing, my life, right?
Maybe Joe Biden. I don't know. Maybe, I don't.
Look, brother, sometimes you don't know that
the government
one thing, but you don't want to know, that's the different thing. It's logical things. Joe Biden also have to die. So somebody's controlling Joe Biden too.
No, why? Look, I don't get this inference, right? It's true that I depend on people for survival, right? If you threw me out in the middle of the Amazon, I wouldn't last for very long. Okay, I depend on people to live. But what does this have to do with God?
Is still when the God is that being who is controlling our life.
Why would I accept? Yeah, why would I accept that?
Because other than that, you do not have any logical thing that something is controlling your life, right?
What? No, I'm just saying, look, I like what I do in my life. I have a good life. There are people that don't, and I'm lucky. And given, I get to do, generally speaking, I get to do what I want to do, and I want to keep it this way. I don't think there's any further explanation that I need to have. I don't need to invoke God for understanding why I don't want to die. I like eating and sleeping and playing video games and debating people like you on TikTok, I mean, I want that to continue. It's nothing fancy. I don't need God. I don't need fairies. I don't need leprechauns or Santa Claus or whatever, flat earths. I don't need any of it.
Exactly. You don't need. That means you are following your own thing. You are following your own will.
Okay.
You said you don't need.
Yeah, I don't need
Exactly.
God or anything like God to explain why I don't want to die.
And that means you are following your own will, right?
Well, let's just say yes. I have no problem with that. I'm following my will. And
exactly. So when a human doesn't follow his own will, he follow the creator wills. That makes him a Muslim.
All right. Thanks
And
for
that's
sharing.
how-
I'm gonna move on to the next person. Oh my goodness, guys. I think I'm sick. Oh, I am sick. I don't know if you could tell. I'm kind of sweating because I have a fever, and I'm losing energy. I was gonna stream this weekend, but I was so sick. Now I'm the end of my energy rope. But I need to interact with y'all because it's been like 3 weeks since I streamed or whatever. So I'm gonna read chat for a second. Can y'all pray for me? I got AIDS or something. Oh my god. Chat. I mean, TikTok. That was a joke. I know all of those Christians think I probably have AIDS. It's God's punishment. Oh my goodness. I don't want to die. You know, it's always, I have to tell y'all, chat, that when I call my mom, she always asks me, "Are you okay?" And I've been putting it together. I like every time I'm like, "Hey mom, what's up?" She's like, "Are you okay?" You know, like almost every time she asks me something like that. Or at least she's been doing it often. And I figured out why, because I think she's waiting for God to punish me for being an atheist. Imagine that. A lot of these Christians, you know, when they see happy atheist, you know, it bothers them, right? You know, if I got AIDS and started dying, you know, that justifies their narrative to them, right? Like, oh, that's what happens when you lead off the path of Christ. You know, that's what they justify all this shit, right? So with, you know, they don't want happy non-believers. You skipped HIV. Yeah. Okay, did you get the vaccine? Oh, I don't know if you're talking to me. I'm gonna look at chat. That's not true. That's not what Christians believe. I don't think they. I might be. I'm not saying they want me to have AIDS. I'm saying if I have AIDS, it justifies this narrative that this is what happens when you deviate from God. I mean, think of the prodigal son, right? My mom is thinking of the prodigal. I'm the prodigal son to my mom, right? I have left my father's house and I'm spending all my money and I'm eventually not going to have left and I'm going to get AIDS and then come back home, right? That's how a lot of Christians think. It's not that they want me to suffer or have that kind of thing, you know? I mean, if for those Christians saying, I'm not like that, what do you think the point of the prodigal son is? That's the whole narrative of the prodigal son. You stray away, bad things will happen, and God will receive you back. Yeah, I'm sorry. Diana, since you're a mod, I'm going to let you in because if you need to tell me something that I should know, then yeah, you can request. May I please come up? I'm kind of done. I need to like take fever medicine or something. Maybe I'll come back later tonight. What time is it? 7:33. What's up, Diana?
Hello, how are you? I missed you.
Oh yeah, it's been a while. It's been like 2 weeks. I was on Parker's live yesterday or something, right?
Yeah, I seen that. But what I wanted to tell you, because now I'm doing my own TikTok videos, and then I got one comment specifically that made me think of you, because one comment stated that there is like feminist, like I'm doing content about feminism.
Yeah, you're really into feminism and stuff, right?
Yeah, and someone said that there is a video of feminists saying that Jesus is trans. Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah, there are people that are making this argument other than me. I just make it a little bit differently. But so what happened?
Yeah, so despite like this not being really correlation to feminism, I don't know how this is related. I just wanted to let you know that because you think this, you're a feminist now.
That's fine. I mean, whatever. I'll say I'm a feminist. Whatever. I mean, I have to have confession. You know, I was very conservative up until like I was conservative because I was religious for the most part. Now I'm like very like I can't believe how much to the left I shifted. I didn't realize how much Christianity influenced my politics. I had no clue, right? How much to the extent. Also, I hang out with a bunch of Marxists now, so that might have done it too. But so now I'm very sympathetic to Marxism and communism. But yeah, so I still get kind of like, you know, do I identify as a feminist? Sure, I'll say that. But I'm still recovering. I'm a recovering conservative, you know.
Recovering.
You know, I'm trying to look at Ben Shapiro, and I'm trying to look at people like Ben Shapiro and like train myself to not like him. And I think he's, you know, he's horrible. But there's like a little bit of me that misses him, you know. I definitely don't like Matt Walsh. Okay, I'm already on the Matt Walsh hate train, but I'm still trying to board, you know, my flight is delayed on the Ben Shapiro hate train because I used to love him so much. You know, so I'm a recovering conservative.
But also like when I got deeper into US politics, for example, I realized how much intellectualism is actually like affecting a lot of things, including religion. And it's not only in the US, it's also in our country as well. Because like when I am talking to, for example, my country is primarily Muslim, and when I'm talking to other Muslims about this, like presenting my arguments and stuff, I realize that they don't even know their own religion, and I have to teach them about their religion in order to like make an argument. First of all,
yeah, it's very common. Most Christians and Muslims honestly don't care about these conversations, including like the God verse. You know, they just want to be left alone. They want to practice their religion and vote the way they want. They want to be left alone, and so they don't know very much about like apologetics and their own belief systems because no one ever asked about it. It's all about because there's this difference between religious belief and religious practice, and many people care about the practice and less so about the beliefs and the doctrines. You know. That includes Muslims, and Christians. But yeah, Diana, I'm probably gonna get off soon. I'm gonna take a hot shower, take some medicine, maybe come back later tonight.
Yeah, so get well soon. I'ma go. You have to like kick me out. I don't know how to do it.
Oh, you don't know how to get out?
Yeah, it doesn't let me.
They keep on changing this shit. They keep on changing this. There used to be an X there. God. Oh, I didn't mean to. I found out. I found the X. All right, I'll look at chat for a little bit longer. No, never mind. Ben Shapiro is an intelligent guy, sure, but he's highly biased and mixes beliefs with politics. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely don't like what he says about trans stuff. Like, I really want to debate him on the trans stuff. All the economic stuff, that's way above my intelligence or my knowledge. I don't know anything about economics, so I don't know, you know, just so. All right, y'all follow me. I have a YouTube. This was recorded, so if you missed part of it, you can go back. Jack, we'll debate. I'll be back later tonight. That's the plan, but my plans never work out. But that is the plan as of now, is to come back later tonight. Y'all take care. Peace out.